Yo, what is up, everybody? Chris here from Fake Sports News, back at it again with another video. Today I'm going to be giving you guys a quick power ranking that I threw together earlier today, as well as giving you guys the rundown for what to expect this weekend, our opening weekend of the CDL 2020-2021 season. Well, I guess technically it's just the 2021 season. So getting right into it, of course you guys can see my power rankings here on screen. This is pretty much the consensus power rankings for most of the community. Really, I would say 8 through 12 is where I switch things up a little bit with my own personal interpretations. But yeah, this was my first time ever making a graphic like this, or just making a power ranking of my own. I've always wanted to do it, but I finally learned how to really use Photoshop well, so here we are. So starting off, we have the Dallas Empire. They're looking to be the best team in the game, so not much has changed since last season in that regard. They've been winning a lot in scrims, beating the better teams, Chicago, of course, Faze, Florida, etc. So they're the clear-cut number one until somebody takes them down. And also during the opening event, the preseason event, of course, the Dallas Empire 3-0'd the New York Subliners. Now, put an asterisk next to that because, of course, we know Zuma retired unexpectedly maybe a week or two before that event, so that definitely impacted the New York Subliners' play during that event. I mean, it was a pretty thrown-together roster with Diamond Khan and Asim being added in instead of, obviously, Hydra and Zuma. They had gotten some reps in with Asim, but definitely not with Diamond Khan and Asim. So it just threw a few wrenches in the mix, and I think it just made it a little too hard for the New York Subliners to overcome the behemoth that lie in front of them, of course. Now looking at our second ranked team, this one was a little bit more of a toss-up to me. I chose Faze just because of, on paper, they look to be a better roster, I guess, than Optic. I mean, personally, I favor the personnel on Optic, of course, just because the players are a little bit older and they have a little bit more experience in the league. Of course, with the exception of Envoy, he has a little bit more experience as a pro player over Simp and Abizi. Not Abizi, of course, but over Simp for sure. So, I mean, I give him the edge just on seniority alone. Of course, you have T2P, the duo on the Chicago Huntsmen. They've won how many championships together? Upwards of 10. So, I really think that in terms of personnel, I just like the composition of the Optic Chicago team. But until they beat Faze, I will not move them up in the power rankings, and we'll just kind of hold things from last season for the most part. Of course, Optic Chicago is rounding out the number 3 spot. They are looking to be the best hardpoint team in the game at the current moment, as it stands based on scrim results. This could obviously change throughout the season, but as things stand, they're number 3, in my opinion. The Florida Mutineers, this one might shock some of you guys, but the Florida Mutineers are a lot better than they were last year, which is a scary thought. Of course, we saw they beat Faze in the opening event, the preseason event that I referenced just a second ago, and they looked pretty good when they beat them. Map 5, they really just dominated Faze the entire time, and it was a great showing for them. But they definitely showed that they have the gas in the tank to beat the top teams if, they're put in a position to win, if those teams slip up, etc., or if Florida just comes out and plays their game. They are a killer squad. Slacked has been incredible this year so far. Awakening, obviously, is Awakening. He was a monster last year, breakout star of the year, without a doubt. And, of course, Neptune, Halo kids, they're just different. We just move different. Halo kids, we're just different, man. But, yeah, shout out to all my Halo boys. Yeah, so Florida Mutineers, team to watch out for. Definitely could play spoiler, win some of the majors. I think that they might win one major, to be honest with you. They just have so much upset potential, and the top teams, I mean, they give them headaches, so we'll see what Florida can do this year. Looking at our number 5 ranked team, the LA Thieves, of course, they had a pretty not great showing against Optic. The control was pretty close until, they had that massive choke where Dashy clutched up in the end. But in terms of their team comp, their teamwork, and just the way they've been playing recently, I do think that they are a very solid team. Of course, Rocker is pretty much at the same level. The two are interchangeable for that number 5 spot in some regards. Rocker's obviously been a stronger search team this year with the addition of Major Maniac, and of course, Attach. Attach has always just been really good at search. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Minnesota does this weekend. Same for LA Thieves, because that will really solidify the number 5 spot in my mind. As it stands, I have them kind of tied at 5, but someone had to get 6, so I just gave it to LA Thieves. I just gave 6 to Minnesota Rocker just because of their team comp in comparison to LA Thieves. Of course, the Rocker number 6, very strong team. Like I said, they could be 5. Just depends on how they play this weekend, in my opinion. Toronto Ultra coming in at number 7. Of course, Toronto is a really good team. They kept their core roster of Kleenex, Bance, Cammy, and Methods, and they looked pretty good at the opening event. Of course, they lost their match, but they had a really good showing, and it looked like they are going to be able to carry a lot of that momentum from last season forward this year, so we'll see how things go for them this season. Of course, the London Royal Ravens being placed at number 8 might shock some of you guys, but you know how high I am on a lot of those EU players. Alex and Dylan as a sub-duo is going to be very, very, very shocking to a lot of people. I think they're going to be highly underrated this season, and I think they could really come out swinging for the fences. And also recently, of course, with Zero having visa issues, Parasite has been added to the roster as a temporary fill-in for Zero, and now the team is Shawnee, Zero, Parasite, Alex, and Dylan. I'm sorry, not Zero. Zero is on the bench at the moment. It is Zero, but Haggie's playing instead of Zero. So it's Parasite, Shawnee, Dylan, and Alex as it stands right now, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they do. Parasite has been playing very, very well this year. That's personally why I bumped the London Royal Ravens up to number 8, just because of the addition of Parasite. He has been playing so well. He made himself undeniable this year, and I'm really happy to see that he got another chance to be a pro this year. Of course, looking at number 9, we have the New York Subliners. Honestly, just with the shuffle that they've had recently, having to slot Diamond Con in place of Hydra, and of course Zuma retiring and having to pick up ASIM instead, I just feel like they are in a bit of a rough spot, and it's going to take time for them to find their footing. I have the utmost faith in Clayster to kind of stabilize things, as he's a veteran. The man has 3 rings, and he knows how to win championships and win big matches. So I think the New York Subliners will move up this season. I do see them eventually breaking into the top 8, and after that, probably the top 6, but I think a lot of things have to kind of fall back into place for them to be a top 6 team. But as it stands, I put them at number 9. In terms of the number 10 spot, I give it to Paris Legion, which obviously means that they haven't really moved since last season. I think they placed 10th at Champs, and in the preseason they were ranked 10th. So they've pretty much been 10th the entire time they've been in the Call of Duty League, apart from when obviously the league was on LAN and they were a top 6 team. So I think that this roster, they do have upset potential, but I just don't see them beating, anyone in the top 6 that consistently. Top 8, I would say there is a chance they beat Ultra or London Royal Ravens, but in terms of Rocker, Thieves, Empire, Faze, Chicago, and Mutineers, I wouldn't rule it out, but I don't think it's highly likely. Of course, looking at the Los Angeles Guerrillas, I think that they are a very solid team, and they do have some upset potential because obviously you have Apathy and Assault and Silly. Basically, the entire EG World War II champs winning roster minus Aches, Vivid in place of Aches, of course. So I do think they're a very strong team, but as it stands, I just don't think they have the team composition to really match the slaying power of a lot of these other teams in the league, and that's why I have them placed at 11th. Now, the Seattle Surge, this might surprise some of you, but there are 12 teams, so somebody had to be in dead last. And Seattle, despite all of their obvious slaying power with Gunless and Octane being on the roster, they still have a lot of issues just winning out. I know they've been performing a little bit better recently, and I really want them to move up. You guys know how much I love Octane, of course. Bring back the memes. But I'm just not convinced just yet. They're going to have to show me something for them to move up in my personal power rankings, but as it stands, they are in last place just because, I think to a large degree they're going to have some of the same problems that they did last year. I think they will win more matches, obviously more series, but I don't think that they'll be, a top 8 team. I think they'll be top 12. They might move up to 10 or 9, somewhere in there, if they get things going late in the season. Obviously, they have enough potential to move up to the top 6 or, to be top 5 team. But as it stands now, just with their issues in terms of communication, chemistry, etc., they are the last place team. Now, looking ahead to our schedule for this week. This weekend, of course, we kick things off tomorrow, Thursday at 3 p.m. with LA Thieves taking on the Minnesota Rocker. Personally, I think that the Rocker have a very good chance to win this matchup, but as things stand, I favor the LA Thieves. I don't know. This one's kind of a toss-up for me. I think both teams are very, very good. Of course, if it goes to a Game 5, I do think the Rocker have a very good chance to take it, as they have proven to be a very solid search team based on their most recent performance at the kickoff event. But I'm not really sure. The personnel on LA Thieves is very strong. Of course, you have TJ Halley, you have Slasher, you have Temp, and you have Kenny. Those are 4 players that you really don't want to see in an S&D, man. I mean, all those guys, they win their gunfights. They can clutch 1v3s. In the case of Kenny, he can just fry at any point. I mean, the guy just gets 2 pieces, 3 pieces like they're nothing. Slasher, obviously same thing. S&D, I mean, we saw how many clinics he put on last year for OGLA with him calling the shots. So, I don't know. I think the LA Thieves will definitely take that one, but there is a very strong chance that the Rocker win that as well. I would say the percentage is probably 52 LA Thieves, 48 Minnesota Rocker. It's very close, but I'd just give LA Thieves the slight edge here. Of course, looking at our next matchup, we have the Dallas Empire taking on the Seattle Surge. I think the Surge will win a map. I do. I don't know where it'll happen, but I think the Surge will win a map. They might win a search. Actually, I take that back. I don't think it'll be a search. I think it might be a control. They look to be very good at control in their last showing at the kickoff event. Their search has improved considerably in comparison to last year, but I just don't see them taking a search off of Dallas. Illy was playing out of his mind at the kickoff event, and he really showcased just his range as an S&D mastermind. Same with Hook, obviously. He's obviously known as being a great S&D player. Crim 6, I mean, come on, the guy dropped a 20-piece Warhawk S&D. If you're an Optic Gaming fan and OG like myself, I mean, we remember that in Ghosts. I'll never forget that performance. It was just painful to watch. So, yeah, I have Dallas taking this one 3-1. That might be a little bit, forgiving to the Seattle Surge side. A lot of people see this as a 3-0. But, I do think the Surge have potential to take a map off of Dallas. Now, looking ahead to Friday afternoon's matches, we kick things off with Optic Gaming LA. Slip. Looking ahead to Friday's matches, we kick things off with Optic Gaming Chicago taking on the Paris Legion. Of course, I think this one will be a pretty straightforward 3-0 for Optic Gaming Chicago. I think that the personnel on Paris Legion just can't really match up with Optic Gaming LA just yet. I think maybe as the season goes on and they get more reps in, they might be able to take maps off of some of these higher ranked teams. But as things stand in the current meta, I just don't see Optic losing a map to Paris. Looking ahead to Faze versus the LA Guerrillas, I think it'll be more of the same. Of course, Faze are just in a different league than the Tier 3 teams like Guerrillas and Legion, so I do think that Faze and Optic will 3-0 Legion and Guerrillas respectively, just because of the, pretty clear power difference between the two teams in question. Of course, looking ahead to Saturday's matches, we kick it off with the LA Guerrillas taking on the Paris Legion. I see this as a 3-2 for the Guerrillas. Personally, I just think that Apathy, Assault, Silly, and Vivid are a pretty solid team. And, I mean, the Paris Legion are a good team, don't get me wrong. But I do think that the Guerrillas are a better team in terms of their composition, their teamwork, and their chemistry. Of course, that EG roster, they've played together for a long time in comparison to this Paris roster. So there's just a lot more, I guess, comfort, you could say, in terms of their chemistry and just their ability to play formless Call of Duty. Of course, looking ahead to our next matchup after the Guerrillas Legion match, we have the Florida Mutineers taking on the Toronto Ultra. I do see this being a 3-1 in favor of the Mutineers. I think that the Ultra probably win a search. or they win the opening hardpoint. Either one is likely. But I do think that the Florida Mutineers will close this out without losing more than one map. Of course, our last matchup of the day, the marquee matchup, has the LA Thieves taking on the New York Subliners. And I think that just because Clayster is really starting to get his footing, I think that the Subliners will take a couple maps off the LA Thieves, but I see the LA Thieves walking away with the win here, just because I think their team comp at the end of the day is a little bit stronger. And obviously they've had the entire life cycle of the game thus far to play together as a team, whereas the Subliners have only been playing with Diamond Con for about a month now. Same with ASIM. That composition of Diamond Con, ASIM, of course Clayster, and Mac Melts, they haven't really been playing together that long, so that's why I favor the LA Thieves to take this matchup. Of course, looking ahead to Sunday, we kick it off with the Surge taking on the Royal Ravens. This is the first upset that I'm thinking will take place this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. I think the Surge will take it. I think that with Parasite... Oh, wow, that was a loud motorcycle. Sorry, y'all. I think that with Parasite being inserted into the mix now, I think it'll give either the Ravens a really good chance to upset some teams, or it'll harm them in terms of just their chemistry and their strategies as they're trying to figure stuff out. And I do think that the Surge can pounce on this opportunity and really take an early win to get themselves 10 free points. So that's why I favor the Surge in this matchup. Of course, the next matchup we'll see the Dallas Empire taking on the Minnesota Rokkr. I see this being a 3-1 in favor of the Empire. Of course, the Rokkr are a very good team. I see them possibly taking a search somewhere in here, maybe a hard point, possibly. Not really control. I think their respawn... I mean, Dallas, like, Shotzi, Illy, Hook, and Krim, like, that's a nasty respawn team. Krim has been playing really, really well this game. I watch his stream from time to time, and the guy's just frying, man. Like, he's a vet, but it doesn't look like it. He's gunning still, so I think the Empire take this pretty comfortably. The Rokkr are a great team, but the Empire are just in another league altogether, and they're reigning, defending CDL World Champs, so they have insane chemistry, clearly. I just favor them in that matchup. Of course, our last matchup of the day, we will see Optic Chicago taking on Atlanta Faze. Now, the reason why I chose Optic in this matchup is just because I think that because these teams have been scrimming each other since the start of the game, Optic has gotten a lot of reps in, and they figured out the things that they've done wrong, the leads that they've choked, all of that. And I think that they'll be pretty ready and pretty well prepared when they go into their matchup against Faze. And honestly, I do think that Optic having Dashi on the roster kind of balances things out a little bit more, gives them a little bit more slaying power than the Faze side has. I mean, obviously, don't attack me in the comments, y'all. Faze is a slaying team. Very few teams can match them. They might be the most slay-heavy team in the game. But Optic, I think they could go toe-to-toe with them, and I think just based on the amount of experience that those players have, and just how raw everyone on that team is. Scump has been playing out of his mind in this game. Dashi, Formal, Texas Formal. Come on, man. Y'all have seen the Twitter clips. Like, this guy's been on one. This is like IW Formal Part 2. It's scary, man. So I can't in good faith say that this Optic team will lose to Faze. Not with the players playing in the form that they have been. I do think that eventually Optic will move up to the number 1 seed at some point in the near future. I think that they will be the clear-cut best team in the game pretty soon, just with the way that all the players have been playing. Like Scump, like I said, has been playing insanely well. Same can be said for Dashi, Enboy, and Formal. So I favor Optic in this matchup, but of course these are two Titans going head-to-head, so anything can happen. It could be a 3-0 for either side, or it could be a 3-2 in favor of Faze, 3-2 in favor of Optic, but as it stands, I favor Optic. Now, if you guys are going to be betting, I would say to be safe, hedge the LA Thieves versus Minnesota Rokkr series, take Empire Moneyline, Optic Moneyline, Faze Moneyline, Guerrillas, Legion, I would stay away from, Mutineers Moneyline, and Subliners, Thieves, I would stay away from as well. A lot of upset potential on the side of the Subliners, and I don't know, I'm just not too sold on LA Thieves yet. I would wait until the day of and follow our Twitter account at Fake Sports for Fans for updates. I will be giving you guys my live betting tips the day of, and you can follow them or not. It's your choice. So, of course, looking at to Sunday, Surge Ravens, another one I'd stay away from. Not really a definite outcome there. And Empire Rocker, I would take Empire, of course, but if you can get them on a minus 1.5 slip, I would take that, just because the money line for that match will not pay out very well. And in the last matchup, stay away from that. So, to give you a recap, Empire, Optic, Faze, Mutineers, Empire. So those are my picks for the weekend, the safe picks. The others that I told you to stay away from, I'm taking obviously what I have on the screen. So Thieves, Guerrillas, Thieves again, Surge, and Optic. But I don't know that I'll be betting on those matchups myself. I might stay away from all of them. But I'll let you guys know the day of as I get more information, I watch more scrims, and I get more intel from my buddies over in my betting server. If you'd like to join that, just drop me a comment or DM me on Twitter, tweet at me something, and I will add you. So yeah, guys, that'll just about wrap it up for me. It's been a little bit of a long video, but we had a lot to cover today, and I will catch you guys in the coming days with another update. I might do updates all throughout the weekend, or I might just do one recap video at the end of the event talking about what happened. So, until we meet again, y'all, this has been Chris from Fake Sports News, and I'm signing off. I hope that you guys all have a great morning, noon, or night, wherever you may be on this beautiful planet, and I will catch you on the next video. Peace.